Amanda here from Scrimpingmommy.co.uk, and today I'm going to show you how to make beautiful shaker elements using any dies that you like. I did see the fantastic boner who is Live Love Scrap make a shake, I think it was a shaker element or like a box element, and it was a specific die, and I thought, well, I can't get hold of that die, I don't live in America so I don't have the choices that you guys have, but how could I make that with what I already have? And I'm a big believer in using your dies for things before you go out and buy something to make a shape that you could perhaps do yourself. Okay, so I had a rummage through my dies and I've come up with this, and it is a shaker tag. Well, I've turned mine into a tag with beautiful shaker elements. It's quite dimensional and it's using just dies that I have in my stash. And I'm going to show you how to make it, and what you can do with these is, as I said, this is a gift tag. Okay, you could add this to the front of a notebook and you've got a lovely shaker element there. You can add them to a lid of a box. You can make these in advance and you can add them to card fronts. Lots and lots of uses for shaker elements, and they are such fun. Make them and gift them in swaps so that people can add them to their crafty creations. I just think it's awesome, and we've got some stamping inside ours as well. So I'm going to show you how I've made this, and you can take this principle and use whatever dies you want. Okay, it just needs to be a fairly reasonable size so that you can kind of see what you're doing. So I am going to bring my big shot in, so if my table does rock, I do apologise. Don't look at my plates. I'm a little bit tight when it comes to my big shot plates, and I'll just use them forever and a day. I do have a spare set because I did get myself some on my last order, but I'm too tight to use them yet. So we've got Whisper White. Now this is standard Whisper White. I would prefer to use thick, but I've actually run out. But standard will be fine. And this is the beautiful, one of my favourite dies that I have in my collection. And this is from the Stitch Edge Frames, I think they're called. I think that's what they're called. Stitched Labels Framelets dies they're called. I'll leave all of the details over on my blog, so if you fancy adding these to your collection, the order numbers etc will be there. Okay, so we're going to cut two of those. Now I could cut two pieces at once because it will cut through two sheets, but I just want to make sure that all of that stitched edge detail shows beautifully. My mat's slipping, I do apologise. So I'm only cutting one at a time because I want all of that stitch detail to show beautifully, and I'm going backwards and forwards a couple of times just to make sure that I capture all of that detail, which it will. Okay, so let's just move that. I've just dropped my glue on the floor, beg your pardon, let me move that. So I'll just lift that one out and you can see all the beautiful detail in there, look, and it's cut perfect. I just need to just push that one out, and it's got stitched edge detailing all the way around. It is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to shove it back through and I'm going to cut it again. I'm just getting the bits out by gently tapping on my desk, which don't do that. Don't do that with your dies, you're not meant to do it. Because it can warp your dies if you bang them on the desk, but it's quicker than poking them out with a pokey tool. But there we go, I've done it now. So we're going to cut another one. My plates are a little bit, I really do need to take the wrapping off of my new plates and stop being a meanie. So cut this second one. Like I said, I always go back and forth just a couple of times if there's a lot of detail on a die, just to make sure that it's caught it all. I mean, the Stampin' Up! Dies are, I've never found one that doesn't cut right yet. Not me personally. Okay, so let me just check that all of the bits are out, and they're already out. I don't even need to poke anything out, so I have two of these now. Okay, and we're going to put them back to back like so, so that the detail's showing on the back and the detail's showing on the front, and we're going to sandwich them. But first of all, what we're going to do is just a little bit more die cutting. Let me just get those bits off of my plates. So what we're going to do now is we're now going to make a hole in one of them. Okay, so we want the detail facing up, and I have got one of the stitched edge ovals, which comes from the stitched shape framelets. And I don't always bother with precision plates and goodness knows what. I just very carefully put it where I want it and I just cut it. If you want to be and make sure it's absolutely perfect, use a precision plate, use a magnetic plate, use washi tape. I tend to just be careful. It does you can do the trick if you be super careful. Okay, and I don't need to really go back again with that because it's just a simple shape. There's no massive detail to it. Okay, and if I push that back through, you'll see that I've cut myself an oval. Now I'll save that because you know, it's a pretty shape, and I'll use that for a sentiment. So that has now cut that shape in the middle of one of my die cuts. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some coordinating cardstock, and I'm using Petal Pink because I want it to be cute. And I am placing the next size up of the stitched ovals from the stitched shape framelets. And basically I'm going to put them down and I'm going to layer them inside each other. Again, if you want to be precise, use a magnetic plate, use washi tape, whatever. I'm not overly bothered if it's not 100% perfect. Handmade doesn't have to be perfect, but you still don't want it to look, you know, a mess. So if you're not very good at being very, very careful, or you want to be double sure, add some washi tape or use a magnetic plate. So I've got the smaller one inside the larger one, and I'm going to die cut them both together. And what that's going to do is that is going to create me a frame for the outside of my tag. Okay, I'll just go back because I am cutting two at the same time. I want to make sure that I've done it right. Okay, so that is that bit of die cutting done. I don't normally do a lot of die cutting, but stick with me because it is worth it. So again, we've got that, so I'll save that. And if we carefully remove these, what we then have is a stitched frame there with the hole, which will correspond with that hole. Okay, and then we have the outer layer to make it look nice and neat and cute. So now what I need to do is now I need my acetate. So I've got a sheet of acetate here. You can die cut it just the same as paper, and I'm using that larger oval again. I'm using the same one so that the sizes are all the same, and I'm just going to stick that in my big shot and cut it out. I will go backwards because it is acetate, so it might take a bit more chopping, but it does cut very nicely with your dies. So we've done with the big shot. Now we can shift that out of the way and we can get creating. Okay, just get my scissors because I'm going to need those, and I will just sit myself down. Just excuse me one moment, make sure I'm in shot. And I'll bring all of my elements in that we've done, and I'll show you how to put them together. Right, so basically we've got our front here with the detailing. Let me just zoom in a little bit. There we go. We've got the front here with the detailing, so we're going to turn that over and we're going to attach our acetate to it. So very, very, very tiny. So let me get my glue flowing. A very tiny bead of glue will be fine. Very tiny. And I'm just using Tombow. It does work because I've tried it. Okay. And if you think you've got a bit much on there, hold it in the middle and swipe it off, because you don't really want to end up with a lot of glue on the inside of your acetate. Okay. I'll just flick that off a little bit. Right, so then we're going to place that down, and there's quite a nice big border there, look. So you're not going to be struggling to line it up or anything. We've cut it larger, and we're just going to leave that a minute to set. Okay, we'll just leave that to set a minute, and what we're going to do on the next one is the details go to the back, so we're putting that flat on the pad like so, and we're going to do some stamping on this one. Okay, So if I bring in my, and I'm using Forever Lovely, which is a new set, and I'm using this, what did I put in the other one? Love You, and then we've got the little heart detail, okay? So first of all, I'm going to get the Love You out, which is here, and I'll have my little hearts ready. Okay. Just put my little hearts there, and I'll do the Love You first. So I'm just lining that up on my grid paper. I'm not going to use my stamp apparatus. You could if you want it really, really. If you want it precision, then use it. And I'm using Blushing Bride. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, where I've got my piece of card where I cut my larger oval, I'm going to lay that over the, in fact we're having our tag that way, it's going top to bottom. So I'm going to lay that over so that I've got kind of like, so I know what the area of the inside is going to be, you know, what you're going to be able to see. It's actually going to probably be a little bit smaller, but I've got an idea. So then I can ink up my stamp, and I can go for the centre, because I know roughly where I'm going. If I can just keep that straight. Again, tack it down with some washi tape if you're not sure, or masking tape. So I'm going to just stamp that in the centre. And that says Love You. Okay. And then I'm just going to change my stamp for the little tiny hearts. And I'm going to just stamp randomly, doing first and second generation, just fairly random. I'm not really good at random. There we go. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a pattern going on there that you can see behind. I'm hoping that this looks a little bit glary from where I'm standing. I'm hoping that when I upload it, it's not glary. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, that should be dry. So now we can very carefully, little bits of glue. You don't need a lot, because this is going to stick onto the cardstock, not onto the vellum. Not vellum, window sheet. You can do this with vellum as well and make peepholes for cards and things. It looks really cute. Okay. Attach that on there like so. Give it a press. Okay. Still with me? I might just bring my mat in, because I think the light looks a little bit glary, and I think white on white sometimes doesn't always show, so I'm just going to do that. So then the magic happens when you use the foam strips. So what we're going to do is we're going to get one long one first, and any that you cut off and you don't use, put back on there, because you can use it later. So we're going to turn this one over. Okay, and starting at one end, stick it down, not too close to the edge, because you don't want to see it through that window. And then you can curve this, it's bender, it's flexible. Okay, so you can curve it to any shape you want. You could literally cut any shape out, and these strips are awesome fun to use. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one, and that would suffice. That would be awesome, and you would be done. But I'm just going to go that extra step further. From watching tips from other people, I haven't come up with it. I'm not saying that you know that this is totally my idea. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another layer on the top of foam strip, which sounds, you know, it might think, oh wow, that's extravagant. It's just foam tape, you know, it's not gold leaf. It's fine, we can afford it. So I'm going to very carefully just stick this one on the top of this one. I've taken the strip, the backing off, and so I'm going to carefully guide that round so that we've got a double layer of foam strip. And what that does is that gives you a bit more room for your shakies to shake about. And it's just more fun. It makes it a bit more dimensional, and it can help the movement a bit more, be a bit more free and a bit more just fun, really. Okay, so there we go. So that is that bit. And then obviously you've got to add your shakies. So I've got some of the iridescent sequins here. I'm putting, you don't want too many. How many have I got too many in there? I think I've got a few too many in there. I think that'll be alright. Because we've got that stamped background as well, but I like it to be fun. Okay, let me see how many I've put in that one. Have I got too many? I think I might have just a few too many. Let me just take a few out. We don't want to be unnecessarily excessive with the sequins. I mean, you know, they're well expensive, aren't they? But you know what I mean. Sometimes if you add too many, it can detract from the look. We don't want that. Right, so that's that bit. So now all we have to do is we're going to stick this with the stamp bit face down into there. Okay, so just make sure that phone tap's nice and firmly on top of each other, and then remove the second strip. And then what you need to do is, if you just carefully look at the patterns and kind of over the top line the patterns up. I'm just going to move it into my shot so I don't get my big hair in. Oh God, I haven't straightened my hair today, so I'm going for a bit of a bird's nest look, because I'm not going out, so I'm not spending hours doing my hair for nothing. Right, so I've lined it up and I've looked over the top and I've lined the pattern up. Okay, give it a bit of a press. Make sure that it's secure all the way around, and there you go, you've got your lovely shaker element. And then we're gonna, but we don't just stop there, because we just want to make it look that little bit cuter. So what I've got here is I have got some silver and white twine. Okay, and I'm going to turn mine into a tag. Like I say, you could now stick this to a card, you could stick it to the front of a notebook, lots of things, box lids. It's a handmade decorative element, isn't it? Which just adds that bit of something else. There we go. Fed that through carefully. I would have preferred to use a pretty ribbon, but I don't actually have one that coordinates nicely, so hence I'm going for the twine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut one shorter than the other. Okay, that one's still a little bit long. We'll trim that one down as well. And then I have die cut some of these little hearts, which is also in the set. Stitch labels, framelets. There's a little stitched, tiny little stitched heart. And so I just love little tiny elements like this. Let me just get them all. Little tiny elements like this. You might think, oh, little tiny dies, I ain't got time for that. And normally I would agree with you, but I just think little things like this can just add that little pop of awesomeness to your project. So I'm just going to put one there. Ooh, it don't want to stay on. Oh, it's going to put glue on my acetate now. Oh, it hasn't. That's very lucky. It hasn't put glue on my acetate. Do be careful not to put glue on your acetate. If you can catch it while it's wet, you'll be able to wipe it off with a baby wipe. So then I've got 4 here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them as tiny little decorative elements to the bottom of that string there. And you might think, well, that's going a bit OTT, Amanda. But you know what it is? The devil is in the detail, and it's little tiny details like this that when you send somebody something, they'll go, oh my gosh, look at that. As if you've taken the time and the care to do that tiny little detail there. And people do notice, trust me. I know what I'm on about. Okay. And you can make these. You can, like I say, you can make them out of any size dies you want. I think this one, particular one that I've used, measures about 3 by about, let me measure it. Let me measure it rather than guessing. It measures 3.5 approximately by, I think it's 2 3/4. doing one much smaller than this would be fiddly, but it's doable. And if you you could even do it with punches, you know, punch your hole out. I've got a little bit of fluff there that's bugging me. It just needs to come off, get off. All right, you're going inside then. Don't want to. Okay. Yeah, you can use your punches. Use your imagination, and don't think that dies are just to cut a shape to stick on a card, because you can have so much fun with dies. There's so much you can do with them. Okay, is that stuck? I think it has. And don't forget the little teeny tiny ones, because they're the ones that add the little tiny wow factors to your project. So there we go, we're done. And I've got 2 of those good to go. Now the next time I do a swap, I can add those to my packaging, or I can add them to a card, or indeed gift it as part of the swap. So there you go. Go and have some fun and make some shaky shakies. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.